Hello.
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 Let's go!
Hey, kids.
Hey, Dad.
War crimes will be prosecuted.
Does the word duh mean anything to you?
Yeah, I chose this profession, so therefore I earned beer.
You want to go to the matinee?
The feeling is definitely there.
You don't know my name!
It's a new morning in America.
This is the old dude, Howard J. Reynolds. Step into my office.
Not going to be too many punks.
Don't you stop worrying about the punk?
You, that's my name.
Yeah, let's go to the punk rock show.
Introducing, for your listening pleasure.
Here we go. High Fives Podcast, episode 77. Mike's here. Mike?
I'm here and alive.
Come on, Mike. You got to project positivity to get it.
Is there a lot to be positive about these days?
I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
We're up.
Yeah.
We got, right?
I'm seeing you on a computer screen. That's a positive.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're projecting.
You have some pretty cool shorts on,
Yeah. You weren't supposed to talk about the shorts.
but they're pretty cool.
They are pretty cool, but let's leave it at that.
All right.
All right. Episode 77. It's the top 5 songs about shows or on with the shows.
I had Show Must Go On.
Okay. I like that we bring our own ideas of what these episodes are to the live recording.
Yeah, Nathan, I would like you to explain how this one is different than the tour episode, because as I was doing my list, I was struggling with the crossovers of that.
It's very different.
Yes.
So
Go ahead.
For all you hecklers, Mike included, yes, we did do an episode that was top 5 songs from the road. This is very different. A show is one part of the road. The road is, I mean, should I just start pulling lyrics at this point? Like, the road is varied, Mike. It's all kinds of adventure awaits you on the road. The show is just one part of the road. The show you can play from your hometown. You don't even have to hit the road to go to the show.
Hey, you can just play a show in your room now.
I know that you haven't been to a lot of shows in the last 20 years.
Wow.
But
20?
I say so.
That's low, Nathan.
It's true. And yes, you're right. You can play a show from your home. Nonetheless, I mean, we are kind of at that point, right? Where, at least a lot of places in the States, like I'm seeing a lot more shows happening, even though there are still a lot of shows being canceled as well.
Yeah, well, we're getting to that point where it's going to happen now, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Are there any shows you're looking forward to, Nathan? Are you ready to go to a show now?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready yet. I mean, Alberta just reopened today for I don't know how many times have we done this.
It's over, Nate. It's over.
Yeah,
I got COVID, so it's over now. I don't care.
You outed yourself.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I got it, so it's fine now. Like, I feel like shit, but I got it, and it's over.
Yeah.
I'm gonna honk my horn now later, and then we'll see what happens.
Do you get something in the mail? Does the Alberta government give you a certificate?
Thanks for not dying. Sorry, that's really low. I apologize to anybody that may have lost somebody. I shouldn't joke about that.
I don't know. I feel like if there was a show tomorrow, if I had tickets to a show tomorrow, I probably wouldn't go. I bought tickets, back in September of this year, or I guess of last year now. I reluctantly bought tickets to see Propagandhi. Another guy, a buddy was saying, come on, let's go do it. Come on. And we bought the tickets well in advance. And I thought, well, maybe we'll be there. And we weren't. And Propagandhi did the right thing and they canceled the show. And then they deferred it to January. And then by the time December rolled around, they canceled it again. And they were like, we're going to try September of next year.
Oh, it's not till September now?
No,
well,
not till September.
That's fair. That's a fair distance to hope that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do feel for these bands that are they're having to cancel tours. Setting up a tour is not an easy thing.
No.
So to have to cancel it over and over and over again, like no one wants to do that, right? So I think we are getting to that point though, where, at least when travel becomes a little bit more, like a lot of the tours I'm seeing do not come into Canada. They're just, in the US. And these are tours that would normally come to Canada. So I think that barrier is still a bit of a troubling one. But we have tickets to Hot Water Music, Menzingers, Oso Oso, and Sincere Engineer.
Do you think it's going to happen? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm going to go, I think.
I think by April, I'll have a good sense.
Yeah, sorry. I should say, if things go the right way, I will go.
Right. Yeah, there's still a lot of time between now and then. But like Laura Jane Grace has a show coming up next month. And like that feels a little too early for me. Like,
yeah, same. Someone asked me if I wanted to go to that. And I was like, I don't know. We'll see what the numbers are like, but it's not looking good for me.
Yeah. There's a lot up in the air still. A lot up in the air. So the answer to your question is it's a lot different, Mike.
I thought about it and I was going to give you a hard time on it. I didn't think we were going to go this far into it. So I thought you were going to give me a one-liner, but you really thought about it. But I was going to say the reason I let it go is because shows were so important. The idea of going to a show was so important. And I was thinking about how hard this would have been if I were in high school still, because going to shows were such a important part of our high school life. Like
Totally.
That was our going to parties. That was like, that's how we met friends. That was our like weekends. And like, I think that's something that transcends through punk rock, specifically punk rock, in that this community exists.
Totally.
Where that's your fun time, your like existence. Like I think one of our friends was discussing, I don't know if you skipped on this chat in this group chat thing with our friends, but one of their significant others had brought up that they asked if we were cool in high school. And I had never really thought of it because I didn't feel like I needed to be cool in high school. Not because of like some sort of thing, but we had our group of friends, but we didn't go to like high school parties. We went to shows on the weekend with kids from all over the city and out of town. And like, I never once thought anything of it because we had like 100 kids at those things. So like, it felt like I was at a party. There was not drinking or anything, but that was our party. So like, to me, I was like, oh, that's a good way to think of in a positive way about shows coming back and stuff like that. Even though I might be nervous and maybe not thinking it's the right time, but I can see how this would be great for our community and stuff like that. And
that's thought out, Mike. That's a really good observation. I don't think at the time, certainly, that we were thinking about, what shows meant to us because it was just what we did, right? But
exactly.
Like looking back on it, like, yeah, I mean, it's different than a lot of the people we went to school with. And I'm grateful for, a lot of those experiences. And it kind of informed us as adults too. Like I still go to a lot, like I would say a lot of shows, like I didn't see my dad going to as many concerts as I do, when he was in his 40s. Right. So
I think my mom went and saw the Eagles on their reunion tour, but she might've been younger than me now anyways.
I'm looking forward to shows happening again and just like, It's just been long overdue. And that's really why, I thought that doing something like this would be fun because we're just kind of turning that corner. I think like maybe for real, this one feels the most real.
It does feel as nervous as I am and uncomfortable with the political nature of the speed. I do think there is some merit to the hope that this might be the last hurrah before we start getting to
the last boo-rah, Mike.
Yeah.
There's no who in this boo-rah.
Uh-huh. So anyways, Nathan, what have you been listening to?
Well, Mike, let me tell you what I've been listening to. Here's a good little segue.
I didn't even try on that segue. I was just like, fuck this. We're done with this conversation. What have you been listening to, Nathan?
I think you did try. I think you were looking for your opening. I could see your eyes get wild.
Well, they were wild. That's just the COVID left over.
Here's a good segue between the pandemic and music. I've been listening to that Josh Freese album called Just a Minute, Volume 1, which is aptly titled because they're songs that are just 1 minute long. So if you like these songs, or even if you don't like them, it's like the perfect amount of time that by the time you're ready to like fast forward it, it's over.
That's what you want to hear in a song. The album's okay. I like it, but if I didn't like it, it's so quick that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
That's like a sign of our times. Doesn't really matter.
There's 20 songs, so you're bound to like something on it. And if you know of Josh Freese, or if you follow Josh Freese on any of, you know, the social channels, this album is about exactly what you'd expect. It's weird but awesome.
Is it similar to his like solo one that he put out years ago on Kung Fu Records or whatever, like the silver one? That's kind of.
I never listened to it, so I have no idea. I don't know any of his solo music from before, but what I can tell you is it's multi-genred. He plays, you know, everything on it, and I think it's just recorded in his, you know, sort of basement studio. Here, maybe some of the songs will help you to understand a little bit more, Mike. Songs like Ain't Nothing Funny About 2020, or The Dwarves and the Queens, which is about a beef between Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age and Blag from the Dwarves. Can't Get Married, Can't Get Buried, which is about just that, you know, because there was this year or two where you couldn't do either of those things. Have a wedding or
he's
a
a
funeral.
clever fellow.
He is clever. Headlock, Nicolas Cage.
I'm sold.
And
why didn't you tell me about this? You saved it for
I'm
this.
telling you right now. I can't help but collect these time capsules of the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like these will be such important, like, as ridiculous as
Hold
that
on.
sounds.
No one is going to go back in like 40 years and be like, that Josh Freese album was important.
Okay, important might have been a bad word choice, but nonetheless, like, these not important per se, but I think they do pull from the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
My next choice, Mike, is Fast Eddie with an album. That's the band with an album called Take a Look. They are Denver's own Fast Eddie, originally a side project out of other Denver bands that I didn't recognize. But they're this band that went from being the side project to the forward project is named after their old drug dealer, Fast Eddie.
I work for a guy named Fast Eddie. He also deals drugs.
I have no doubt. I think that's like being Sinbad, right? Like, what options do you have in front of you? Pirate, comedian, Fast Eddie.
Oh, man.
Laborer, drug dealer. Anyways, straight up, fun as hell rock and roll album. I would say the vibe's kind of similar to like the New Swears or the Helicopters, but kind of a brand of its own still. Have you listened to that one at all?
I did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It had the good rocky feel to it.
I thought that was something you might enjoy.
Yeah, I did.
I got two more for you because you were so upset last time that I only brought three. I brought four. Your ideal.
Excellent.
For the what I've been listening
Thanks
to
for following
category.
the rules, Nate.
Yeah, you're welcome. Comeback Kid, Heavy Steps. I just love this album. I keep putting it on. I like this brand of hardcore, but like a lot of times it's in moderation. I've got to be very much in the right mood, but this album is the right mood. Like, just start to finish, I really like this album. I'm also not a big video guy, but the video for the first track, have you seen that video?
No, I haven't actually.
They're playing like a kid's 12-year-old birthday. And, you know, I mean, it's a fast, aggressive song. So, you know, the contrast is pretty hilarious. It very much has that like ruined Johnny's bar mitzvah kind of vibe to it. But yeah, I just keep putting this album on. I think it's kind of a new vibe for this band, but like that isn't quite new at all. Like, it still pulls from like the spirit that is Comeback Kid, but there's something different about it. And I really dig the artwork on it too.
I like it a lot too. I can see how people who are big Comeback Kid fans would maybe feel like it was polished. It's got a gloss to it that's maybe not there, but I find that that hardcore has a lot of that gloss anyway. Like,
totally.
Like, I don't get like, if you listen to New York hardcore, I can see and you're like, well, I don't want to listen to that. But like, I feel like all those bands basically from that era and on sound like this. Like they've got like super polished guitar riffs and stuff like that are like, you can see the studio influence and like the effort put in, and like just the sound quality is different. So I don't know. Like I know in our chat there was some talk about it being like, what do they call it? Nightclub hardcore, which is such a bizarre thing to me. So I'm like, yeah, I've never been to a nightclub where they played hardcore, except for when I played at a nightclub, and I don't think anybody liked the hardcore, and no one danced to it for sure.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, but I agree with you. I think there is a lot of polish to, a lot of the music from this specific genre. I do got to say though, like going back to the artwork, like for a world where artwork is becoming less and less important, it's really cool. Like it really stands out for me.
I would think that artwork should be more important now. Like when I see a thing on Apple Music or something, I'm like, there's so many times I'll check out a band just because of the artwork now. Like I feel like bands should put more effort in, but I do agree. Like so many bands just don't put the effort in anymore. It is nice to see when a band puts in the effort for like a solid like album cover.
Well, I mean, when you think of how small the thumbnail is, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would you put all that work? Like, you're just trying to get something that's eye-catching, not necessarily like.
Yeah, I guess
art-worthy.
I've always been attracted to album art cover. Like that's I don't know. That's a thing of mine for how I discovered bands and stuff. So maybe I'm in the minority on that anyway.
Maybe.
Last
one. Anxious. Little Greenhouse. Have you listened to this one?
I did. I really like this one as well. You're
Me too.
hitting it out of the park today.
This is a debut album from this band, Anxious. I had never heard of them before. I've been listening to some older Jimmy World lately, and this album kind of feels like pulling from the aggressive nature of like the older Jimmy World, like kind of static meets like the mid-career of Bleed. Like that kind of polished, catchy melody of Jimmy Eat World's mid-career. So like that's kind of where I lump this in, like in the sense that like they're kind of bringing these two sounds from different years, from different times spanning, like really like the emo genre of like late 1990s to today's like 2020s even.
Yeah, I caught it. Like, it's interesting you said that because I didn't see the Jimmy Eat World comparison, but I thought they had like a kinship with like Jawbox and Seaweed, like those kind of bands that were like on that cusp of those kind of that indie emo stuff. Like I felt like they were like a newer version of that. But
yeah, I hear that.
But
too.
I see that in those first few Jimmy Eat Worlds are kind of like that too, like stuck in that like trying to find out their own sound.
Not overly melodic and kind of like, in a lot of places sonically. And yeah, I really like it. I think this is a real standout. Like the amount of music I've consumed, Mike, just since our last podcast is insane. It feels like more than last year all together.
I was pretty slow, but again, just because I was sick, I took like 2 weeks of my life off.
Well, you are fairly slow to begin with.
I'm also a slow person.
Mike, what have you been listening to?
First band is a band called Forever Unclean.
Okay, yes.
They're a Danish band. It's their debut full length. And I would say it's like a pop punk album, but like a little grittier and rougher around the edges.
Totally.
Than your actual pop punk, but like it's got pop punk sensibilities, like in the vein of like Latterman or those kind of bands, but it's just grittier. It doesn't sound as like put together, which is, it works for it. It's really cool. I check it out if you like that kind of stuff. I think it's going to be one of those albums that people talk about for a bit. Next one was the Ricky Rochelle solo album, So Far Good.
Nice.
If you don't know who Ricky Rochelle is a singer from the Young Rochelles and New Rochelles. If you're a fan of those bands, you'll probably love this. It's a little more polished and it's got a few more genre shifts than the straight ahead like Ramones core thing. So it's worth checking out. I like when someone does a solo album and they experiment a little bit, but you can still see where they're coming from. So it's not
and
like
they
a total...
don't pick up the acoustic.
Yeah, there's not that thing either. So anyway, it's pretty cool. It's worked well for Ricky. I'd recommend checking it out. A band called Sweat with the album Gotta Give It Up. They're a hardcore band from LA and it's out on Pirate Press. That's an album. As soon as I saw the artwork, I was like, I got to pick that up. And when I listened to it, it's just, there's something different about it. It's a hardcore album, but it doesn't feel like a hardcore album.
Yeah.
But it's not a punk album. I don't know. There's just something different about it. And it's like, you can tell it's something special just listening to it. Like, did you get that feeling when you listened to it? Like it's a genre shift or something, like something's going to click there, I think.
It's definitely different.
Go ahead.
For
sir.
sure. I don't know what it is either. There's something in there, and like the artwork kind of lends itself to the sound of it. Like it's almost expected without knowing what to expect.
Like at times I was like, it's almost like the Murder City Devils wrote a hardcore album.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I haven't listened to it enough, but it's on my list to listen to more.
And last one is a band called Parties with a Z at the end. And it's an EP. They're from Chicago. They're a power pop band featuring members of Kitty Hawk, Annabelle, and Dowsing. It's more pop punk and power pop than emo than like their other bands. But you still get traces of that emo sound. So if you like those, I would recommend checking it out. So it's a little quick listen, but I look forward to a full length from them. And that's what I've been listening to, Nathan.
Parties with a Z.
Yeah.
Whew. I don't know if I'm ready for that, Mike.
You know it's serious. You know it's a party if you spell party with a Z at the end of it.
Yeah, you know it's serious, that's for sure. On with the show. On with this show, talking about that show.
Oh, that would have been
a
good song to use. Son of a bitch.
On with the show?
On with the show.
I used it with the Get Up Kids cover once upon a time. I think it was for the covers, the second covers.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I know you're in the habit of reusing music, but I'd like to discourage it.
I'm going to cry.
This is a band from, well, this is an album, an EP, if you will, from 2010. This is a band that's very confusing to me because of their name mostly. The band's called Sharks. And I originally thought that this band was one and the same with what has become apparent to me is an English band called Sharks as well. And then there's also another band that I think is like putting music out currently called We Were Sharks, which I thought maybe like they couldn't use the name Sharks anymore, so now they call themselves We Were Sharks.
So hold on a second.
I don't think that's true either.
Hold on. There's two bands called Sharks.
I think so.
I know there's a band from England called Sharks that kind of had a Gaslight Anthem kind of sound to them.
Yeah. So
and this is a different Sharks band?
I thought that this was that same band, but like when I looked them up today, this EP doesn't show up in their discography and it's very different. Like it's not the same music. It could be like a progression, but from where this album also sits within their discography, it doesn't line up.
Crazy.
So there is another band called Sharks, and neither of these are We Were Sharks.
I know We Were Sharks is a different band because I once was like, did Sharks change their name to We Were Sharks? I did that a long time ago myself, thinking the same thing.
And when you start Googling Sharks,
it's not an easy one.
There's not a lot of bands that pop up. So anyways, this is a band called Sharks. And this song, an EP, 2010, very much of the time. That brand of pop punk that was very much like teamed up with that hardcore scene, you know, so it's got like kind of that 4 years strong flavor, you know, it's extra poppy, it's extra glossy, it's extra cheesy, but nonetheless catchy as hell.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I really felt like this could have been the theme song for this episode. The song's called Welcome to the Show. And it's by a band called Sharks off of their EP Holy Rip.
Holy Rip. Interesting. Okay, yeah. Well, that other Sharks band doesn't sound anything like this, so.
No. But weird, right? And I did think they were one and the same. I just thought, well, maybe they went from Bob and the Saggets to the Menzingers just didn't change their name.
Who knows?
You know, they kind of went from Sharks to Sharks, but there was a big departure in their sound. I don't think they're the same band.
Interesting.
Yep.
Cool. I don't know that band at all then. I know the other Sharks, but I don't know this band Sharks at all. But that's
Well,
interesting.
strap in, Mike.
I'm excited. Some of that stuff,
Strap in.
I find those bands with like that sound you're describing are so good at like a one song. Like usually the
Yeah.
album's like most of the
It's the
album is
same.
good, but like if you heard the ones like just hear one song, you're like, that's a great song. But like
Yeah.
after the third one, you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Pop punk isn't dead. I get it. You defended it.
They do a Kesha cover on this same E EP.
That sounds about right. Very of the time, hey?
Yeah, exactly. Mike?
Okay, my first one is a band who released an album last year. The band is called Oh the Humanity. The album is called Oh the Humanity.
Nice.
And the song is called Everyone in Gainesville Looks Like Someone I Know.
Nice.
So this song is about going to Fest and playing Fest and all the good stuff about it. So I figured I might as well come out of the gates with something about playing and going to shows that captures the fun and the feeling of punk rock shows and festivals and that community about belonging. There's something, like I said before, there's something comforting about going to punk rock shows if you grew up around it, whether it's a local show with 15 people or something as big as Fest. You just feel like there's a part of community. So I wanted to go with an opening track that encompassed that. It's a great track. It's a great album. So yeah, that's what I went with.
See, neither of these are from the road. They couldn't fit into that, Mike.
This could cross.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
No, it's not.
All
It doesn't
right.
fit.
All right.
It's a square peg in a round hole, Mike. Welcome to the show, Sharks. And
Everyone in Gainesville looks like someone I know. Oh, the Humanity.
You can tell it's been a long time since we've talked to one another when we go on for a good 30 minutes off the top, right?
Yeah, it almost sometimes is better for the podcast, but not better for my life.
Oh, that's sweet. There was something sweet in there, Mike.
Yeah.
Sweet like candy.
It's Valentine's Day, Nate. You know,
It is Valentine's
I'm
Day.
emo in the streets and emo in the sheets with you, Nate.
So emotional. How was your Valentine's Day, Mike?
I hate Valentine's Day. I don't care.
All
about
right.
it.
All right.
And yours?
Well, I'm doing it right here.
Yeah. Well, with you, I told you.
Moke. What up? I celebrated Valentine's Day yesterday.
I assumed because you canceled our recording.
That's right.
And
Here
you
we are
told me-
today.
And you didn't talk about the Super Bowl, so I assume that there was two
I
things
mean-
that you could have canceled for yesterday. One or the
Would
other.
I talk about the Super Bowl? Probably not.
The Super Bowl?
Probably not.
No.
My next song comes from a band that has even more name issues that I discovered today, Mike. And oddly enough, is a connection to sharks.
Really?
Yeah.
Which sharks, though?
All right. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. The band is called Great White,
Oh.
not spelled the same way. I'm only just finding this out right now. Like it's happening now, Mike. It's
Okay.
happening right now.
Okay. Okay.
Great White is the name of the band. And I chose a song off of their debut album, The Suburbs Have Ruined My Life. And when I looked at this album today, and, I was looking at, some things and like went to their Bandcamp and things like that, they've just like canceled their Bandcamp page. And it's like, we have a new name, but go and figure it out yourself. They didn't say that, but like it wasn't like, and here's our new name.
Well, wasn't there an 80s metal band called Great White?
Oh yeah, they don't spell it the same way.
Oh, okay.
Great White, the 80s band would have been WHITE.
Mhm.
This is WIGHT.
Okay.
So anyways, their new name is actually Proper. And I remember I was listening to these guys
Oh. I know this band. Like,
okay. But did you
Oh.
know that they were formerly called Great White?
yeah, I played them on the podcast before. I don't know. They're an awesome band.
They are an awesome band.
Yeah, and they changed their name to Proper quite a while ago now, like over maybe even 2 years ago. They might even have 2 albums under Proper.
Well, they have one for sure that came out in 2019, and they have a new one coming out in 2022.
Mm-hmm. They're really good.
They are really good, but like this whole thing was just like, it was kind of weird because like I had been listening to them the other day, and then I thought, well, this album came out in 2017. Like, have they not done anything since? There must be something coming. And then I went into this dive and found out, oh, they changed their name, and you had to go find out what their name was and all this kind of stuff. So anyways,
I think I
Here
might
we
have even
are.
played this. The Suburbs of Ruin. I think that's a title track, and I think I might have played it on the podcast once before.
oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I did not pick that track.
Good.
Not that you care.
Because you called me out on playing songs twice.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But I chose the song Curtains Up, It's Showtime,
Ah,
which is, I think we can now decide it was not the song you chose.
it 100% was not.
All right. Well, there you go. I really love the honesty of this song. And a lot of their lyrics are very just like open and honest and vulnerable and just kind
Well,
of
I think a lot of it is
raw.
dealing with being queer and a person of color.
Yes.
Like most of the album is, I think, that. And
but there's no guard around it.
No,
And
no,
that's
it's
what
awesome.
I really appreciate about this album.
Yeah.
And this song, which is very much talking about, being on stage and worried that people aren't going to care about what he has to say. And, for anyone who's ever been on stage before, for whatever reason, that the only way to survive is to push out confidence as hard as you possibly can. And this song is like a word for word account of the internal monologue that is inside everybody's head, which is complete counter to that stance.
Mhm.
Even in the way that this song is sung, like you hear the insecurity being sung. And I really love that. I love the vulnerability. I love the honesty. For anyone who's ever gotten in front of any kind of audience for whatever, this song really just does validate all of those feelings that you have. And funny enough, there's a follow-up to this song on the 2019 album, their sophomore release. That album was called I Spent the Winter Writing Songs About Getting Better, which should have been called, by the way, we changed our name to Proper. And the song is Curtains Down, Throw in the Towel. So there you go. There's some
That was a good pick,
history
Nate.
lessons
That
in
was
there
a deep,
for you, Mike.
deep cut and a good pick.
Thanks, pal.
Okay, so my next one is a band that's fairly popular, but I had this on my list. I took it off. I had it on. It's too funny not to put on. The band is Alkaline Trio. The song is Goodbye Fire Island.
Nice.
Off this Is This Thing Cursed? And if I could speak properly, you would have understood that whole thing, but I can't. So anyway, I had to add this on because I couldn't help and see the obvious comparisons with that We Were Young festival in Las Vegas and the Fire Festival. Like, just because it's so topical to right now, like, it just seems like this festival is going to be a disaster.
Right.
I want to be happy for all the people excited about this show, but man, it seems so plastic and so horrible.
Right.
Just like Fire Festival. And then I just think it's hilarious that Alkaline Trio wrote the song because Skiba started saying that he cursed Fire Festival because he didn't want to play it with Blink-182. So anyway, I guess after my last one where I said shows rule, not all shows are good. Some suck, like Fire Festival and probably this We Were Young festival.
I honestly can't believe anyone thought Fire Festival was going to work. Like, that was the most insane thing. And maybe it's because of how I saw it. Like, I got to see the fallout before it happened, and I got to watch it from, a documentary standpoint. But everything that was presented was like, come on.
I think
this
we all
is
know
not going to work.
I think we all know Skiba cursed it, and that's why it didn't work. Otherwise, it would have been a success.
He's a warlock.
That's what he says.
Yeah, that's what he says. It's interesting, the person that plays guitar in Blink-182, isn't it?
Warlock.
From Tom, the believer, to Matt, the warlock.
Yeah,
like, I wonder who they'd get next.
Probably someone super religious.
Yeah, you think that's where it's headed?
Yeah. No.
The Pope starts playing in Blink-182.
The guy from Under Oath. Cool youth pastor. Really hip with the kids.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a great pick, Mike. Real
Thanks.
good pick. Real
Thank you.
strong. Curtains up. It's showtime. Great White and
Alkaline Trio, Goodbye Fire Island, off Is This Thing Cursed?
What the hell was I thinking? This is too much too soon. All these people crowded in this tiny room. Does it help that I don't know any of you? But I gotta get over this stage fright somehow. If I can do this in front of my mirror, why can't I just get this over with right now? I'm just so scared that no one will care what I have to say. To you, I'm just the opening act for the main stage. The pressure's on. always have me. You were never alone because I loved you all so much. And when times got rough, you were there for me. And I can't thank you enough. You were not alone. You never were, you never will be. 'Cause you'll always have me. You were never alone because I loved you all so much. And when times got rough, you were there for me. And I can't thank you enough. It would be better if we just sit back and hate the world together. At the very least, if your anger doesn't cease, think it would be better if we just sit back and hate the world together.
Burning on an autumn night, a piece of me has been set alight, moving like a locomotive to take you up and take your wife away. Coming down like Christmas lights, strung up on these walls for countless nights. Douse my house in gasoline, strike a match and walk away. Feeding on the fading Model T. White meat festival, yeah. Hey, ocean filled with plastic bottles. Hey, in tidal waves, we'll wash us all away. Wash us all away. Turning into this burning wreck, shattered windshield, broken back, crawling on your arms to safety before the flames take your life away. Stab me with stiletto heels, feed me pills and happy meals, leave me here to bleed out slowly. Smile, spit, swiftly walk away. Feeding on the fading Model T. White meat festival, yeah. Hey, ocean filled with plastic bottles. Hey, in tidal waves, we'll wash us all away. They left us here to wander, but left us here to stay. Our dreams were torn asunder and quickly washed away. Stranded in the ocean, lost our only hope. Abandoned here and broken, cost us everything we own. Hey, feeding on the fading Model T. White meat festival, yeah. Hey, ocean filled with plastic bottles. Hey, in tidal waves, we'll wash us all away. Wash us all away. Wash us all
So we've both been reading a book right now, which is not something I do a lot of and something that you do a lot of. We've both been reading Sell Out, and we bought our copies. These were not sent to us. And
we don't have that kind of pull in the world yet.
Dan.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying it. There are not a lot of books that I'm like, I really struggle to put that down. And I'm really enjoying this book. I know that you're fairly well versed in a lot of these stories, but you've got to be finding out some interesting things as you go along, that things that you didn't know. Because I feel like this book really does dig deep into a lot of things that, like, people like yourself would be kind of like, oh, I didn't know that.
So yeah, now that I'm getting into the later chapters, there's less I know about that stuff, which is weird because that's when I was really working at the record store and like dealing with record label reps, and our label was probably doing the best it was doing at the time. And like, I was like actively dealing with radio stations and stuff, but those later bands I know less about. What I do find super interesting in all the cases is how guilty they all seem to have felt, and how much they basically not screwed in the like way that you think they got screwed, but like how it broke them, even though they were successful. It seems like they all were like, a little bit of them died doing it. And it's like, they didn't have the same sellout experience as like we had as like, and like, I would say you and me grew up in that era of calling these bands sellouts. Like now totally. I would never do that. Now I'm like,
no, because we're old.
No, I know, but I respect them. Like, you have to make a living. And like, I just find that they didn't really sell out their like production rights. They just, it's more like they sold out, like they just selling out what they enjoyed about doing. It almost seems, and I also find it interesting that a lot of them admit to have making more money before they signed the major label deal, which is something I had always heard.
Right.
But it doesn't seem that way when you see bands on TV and bands no longer riding in a van, they're riding in a bus. You think, oh, they've made it. But like the majority of them seem to be like, yeah, well, we made more money if we were on Fat Records or something like that. I mean,
the exception is definitely Blink.
Or Green Day, I guess.
And Green Day, totally. But yeah, you're right. A lot of the others, like it seems to have broke them in some way, whether they, that was the end of the band, whether there was a break after that, like that seems to be the common thread. I do like too how all the chapters kind of connect, like you wouldn't get the same out of a chapter if you just picked one of the bands halfway through the book. Mm-hmm. You get much more out of the book as an entirety because they all kind of connect. There's similar characters that keep popping up,
well, it's chronological in many ways too, right?
But like, I wouldn't have necessarily thought that all these bands that didn't even necessarily know each other would have touched each other in the same way, whether that's through a producer or whether that's through, an A&R rep or something like that. Like those names seem to be coming up all the time.
Yeah. It's a really good read. I have one chapter left. So just before we started recording, I just finished the Rise Against chapter, and I feel like I've gained a new respect for Rise Against that I didn't have before.
Nice. So, what's your favorite one so far?
Favorite chapter so far?
Yeah.
I learned the most in the At the Drive-In one.
Nice.
Because it's a band I really like, but I had always kind of heard negative things about personalities, and I feel like reading that I have more empathy for the personalities and stuff, and I understand a lot of the stuff that happened like a little bit better, and I would say the My Chemical Romance one's pretty interesting too.
Cool.
But only because like that the guy that runs that label sounds pretty interesting. He's the same guy in the Thursday chapter.
Okay.
I almost want to know more about that label, because both those bands were bands I discovered via like early on internet nerdiness, like going on mp3.com.
Like when you're talking about the label, you mean Victory?
No, Eyeball Records or something. It's a Jersey label.
Oh, Eyeball Records. Yeah.
That guy's hilarious. Yeah. These guys are just a bunch of nerds or something, he says on numerous occasions.
Nice.
Anyway.
I just can't believe Thursday was thought to be the next Nirvana. Like you see that, you see that comparison with Green Day as well, but like no one actually meant like sonically. They just meant like in terms of popularity, right? But like they actually thought Thursday had that sound capability to be the next Nirvana, which I think that's
I don't
such
see that
an
at all, but-
acquired taste band. Like that's not going to be the band that like really reaches out to the masses.
I think you have to also understand we are coming at it from a different angle. We saw all the bands that led up to that. Like we saw screamo bands before. It's not like they're like, I know they did something a little bit different, but they weren't like that different than like any of the screamo bands or emo bands like that we grew up with. Like they were just,
I guess that's kind of my point though, right? Like why it was them. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that kind of stuff. But I also was thinking about this today. We didn't get the same exposure. So like in the States, they got more, like all these bands got radio play. Like we really didn't get radio play here for like a band like Thursday or...
You mentioned that about ska too. It was
like
it
we
was
just
similar in that same way.
We don't have that. We didn't get that same much music thing. It would be like you still only got that in that like segmented time slot. Like Blink did, let's say, but we never even had like Damn It wasn't on the radio here or any of that. It was really on Enema when we started hearing them on the radio or seeing music videos outside of like Loud, like Much Loud, or like what was the one that Sukian had the show, Sukian Lee or whatever. Do you remember?
Oh, The Wedge.
Like that was the only time you saw those videos. You didn't see them on like the Much Music like top 30 countdown or whatever they used to do, or Master T wasn't talking about it.
Not until later.
Yeah, but like later on, where I feel like reading this book, it sounds like there were billboards and like actual like publicity that we just didn't get in Canada. So we have a little bit warped sense of like how big these were.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good observation to make. And I mean, now it's all equalized, right? Because we all have the same
completely different now.
Ability to, grab at whatever, right? So, all right, Mike, on with the show. My next song comes from a band called The Dirty Nil with an album called Master Volume. The song is called Hit the Lights. And this song is just get off the back wall because here we go.
You should have been writing stuff in late 1990s, 2000s AR world.
If you ever finish that DeLorean, I'll go back and do it.
Yeah.
This is just one of those songs where like you just know the room erupts when they play this song. Like, I don't know if they open with this song, but like it's just smash you in the mouth Motorhead vibe right out of the gates. And it just keeps going from the word go right until the end. And this is the song to get everybody fired up.
I'm actually surprised this song has never been picked up by like, and maybe it has, by like stadiums in Canada because they're Canadian, right? So I always kind of, it feels like it'd be like the perfect song to use for like hockey night in Canada or
it's
something.
Too much.
It's too much.
Yeah, they couldn't do it.
You know more about that world than I do.
I don't. I know nothing about that. You know more about that world. You go to the games. I don't go to the games.
No, but you're you worked the games in that.
Yeah, sure, but like I don't know how those decisions get made. This just feels too much. This is on our side of punk rock, not their side.
I heard Taking Back Sunday at a game the other day on TV. I thought that was weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a deep cut.
Yeah.
That seems like somebody like
some DJ
I remember
someone like me's got a job there and like, I'm going to slip this song in there.
Yeah, but there are people like that. Like I remember one of the first times I heard the Gaslight anthem was at a Flames game.
Oh, they use Gaslight all the time.
Yeah, the guy that does it is like, like into punk rock. And he was
really?
like, oh yeah, you haven't heard these guys? And I was like, no. And this is like right when Sink or Swim came out. And so it was like before a lot of people had heard of that band. And so I went home and checked it out that night. But yeah, it's totally just one of those insiders, like working from the inside.
Well, that's why sometimes Chuck Ragan's played. And I'm just like, that's an odd choice.
Yeah.
Who is it? I thought, whatever.
I can never tell you.
It's off air.
Offline. We'll take this conversation offline. Mike, what did you have for number 3?
Well, Nate, this is the song that I wanted to pick that I knew you were going to make fun of me for, because I feel like when it came out, you made fun of this song. So
I made fun of a lot of things when it came out, and like I've eaten a lot of crow since.
All right, I still feel like you're going to make fun of it because it is kind of cheap.
Make fun of you, not openly.
Okay, Band's Good Riddance. Song is
Excellent.
Song is Salt off Ballads from the Revolution.
This is one of my least favorite Good Riddance songs.
I know.
But like, I get it. I'm here for you, and I'm with you, Mike.
So I understand the song is cheesy, but
Okay.
I also think a band like Good Riddance and a band like Propagandy probably get so frustrated at a show because a chunk of their audience does not give a shit about what they're saying.
Right.
They're there to bust heads and crush beers and cheer and just be bros. And like, I feel like this song is calling them out in a time where bands hadn't started calling out people for it. Like Propagandy, I think even came out after calling people out for it. But this is a song, and I just always liked it. And like, I just think about when we saw Propagandy last time, and there was just dudes pummeling people. And like, you and me aren't small guy. Like, I guess I'm small, but I'm tough enough to handle myself in there. And I got pummeled out of there by fucking jocks. And like, I was just thinking about like, I can't imagine being a band and you're singing about how stupid this is and seeing these guys do it.
Yeah, the irony's pretty thick.
Yeah. And how they don't know that they're just as stupid. And like, I'm the first to admit, when I first started going to shows, I liked moshing and I was probably an asshole. But when bands started calling people out for it, I learned about safe spaces and how stupid that was and stuff. And I'm glad I got called out on it. And I'm glad I learned to know that like, it's a show should be for everyone. You don't have to mosh and be an idiot. Like, there's a difference between enjoying and being up against the stage. And I don't even hate the idea of pits and stuff like that, but like, you can respect people, and it's not about the pit. It's about the music. It's about the lyrics and all that stuff. So as cheesy as this song is, I felt it had a place in the show conversation of this episode.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. And I think you've argued a very good point. And this is a safe space too, Mike. I'm never going to make fun of you.
All right.
Just
behind my back.
Well, yeah, not openly.
Okay.
Just on the socials.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that. And I think you're right. I think, and not to dive back into this conversation, but again, with At the Drive-In, like that really was a big part of what killed that band was the violence that was happening, in front of the stage, that they were begging and pleading for people to stop. And like, I never knew that. Like
I didn't know that
didn't
at
realize
all. And
that.
I was a huge At the Drive-In fan at the time. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't know if I knew how big At the Drive-In was, because we like at the record store, I would put it on and people would be like, turn that shit off.
Right.
So I just assumed it didn't sell that well from here.
Well, and like that music specifically too, right? Like, Propagandy, Good Riddance, I would say there's more melody than screaming, right? Like the aggression in the music is not the same.
Yeah.
Like At the Drive-In is aggressive music. And like, even at the age I'm at right now, before reading that, like I would have never put that together, that like, here's a band that plays super aggressive music that's like, stop hurting each other.
Well, see, the thing is, they're so political and the lyrics were always so political that I get it. Like, and I always got that, but I guess in my head, I was like, and we were old enough to know this by that time too. Like, I'm not 15 when At the Drive-In comes out.
Right.
And I'm just like, I guess because they were getting lumped in with bands like Limp Bizkit and to some extent Rage Against the Machine. But I mean, Rage has always been funny to me too, because like you've got probably fucking neo-Nazis that love Rage Against the Machine and don't understand that they love Rage Against the Machine.
I think at a Rage show, like, you expect to be hurt if you're near the front. Like, that seems, and I guess maybe that's what I'm trying to say is like, I just thought that
At the
that
Drive-In
was kind
like
of
that?
Intrinsic to that music, right? Like, how can you have super aggressive music and not have people banging into each other?
I don't even think it was the banging. I think it was the aggression of it had nothing to do with the music. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't mind moshing at a show. I mean, I'm too old for it. I don't like seeing it even, but I mean, like, I get the anger and the aggression, but like, be there for the right reasons. I guess I think At the Drive-In, probably when they were in basements and stuff, we're fine with to some extent, but they didn't want to see people getting hurt. They wanted it as a positive space. Like, they didn't want don't think, I mean, I'm not in the band, so I can't comment, but that's my impression. So when you start going to giant festivals and people are just beating people up for the sake of like doing it, like I think that's the issue more than like,
I think no band would want that, right? Like no matter what kind of, okay, no
Fred
band
Durst.
within our
yeah.
Well, the bands that we talk about.
I think
and support.
the punk rock ethos is like safe space.
Yeah.
But there's that line with these bands where like chunks of people come and they don't care about that part of it.
Right.
They're just there to rage.
Right.
They're there to make like just hit somebody or like the aggressive part of it. They're there jock rocking it.
Totally. And I totally hear what you're saying. I guess it still though seems, you know, it's this odd dichotomy, you know, between the two, right?
So I always associate At the Drive-In and Refuse at the same time in my head.
Yeah.
And I would say the same thing for Refuse. I'm like, because you crossed into that metal genre, hard rock genre, you're going to get people that don't know about the importance of lyrics and the importance of like the punk rock thing, like where you come from. So they miss out on that stuff. So, and maybe the lyrics aren't easy to understand all the time too, which might be some of it, but I don't know. Anyway, if you go to a show, you can rage, but don't be a chud and don't ruin people's times.
I love that word, chud.
Yeah.
Hit the lights, the dirty nail, and
salt. Good riddance.
And it seems that aggression's all you know. Stop throwing your fist, pull out your head. There's a pain in the show. Here we go.
This kind of goes back to your talk about like how, and I don't know if we were talking about this while we were under the record or not, but how you were talking to me about how I take a hard stance on a lot of things, or I dig my heels in about things, and I make decisions that are uninformed.
No, I don't know if no, uninformed is not the thing. You just, it's not an uninformed decision.
All right.
I would say you're very informed. It's more like you're just like, you've just decided.
I've made a decision, and I have to say, I'm very much a man of my convictions. That's for certain.
Yeah. I respect it.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I don't think that this is a band that I dug my heels in about, but I also don't know why I'm only really like getting into this band now, because I really like it. And I would have put them on my what we've been listening to, but I know we try and keep that with like more recent things as opposed to like, oh, I was listening to this album from 15 years ago. So
that's what our Friday Instagram posts are for.
The band that I'm referring to, which actually did make my Friday list, is Rocket from the Crypt.
Oh, yes.
And this album came out in 2002, which is shocking to me because I feel like it's way ahead of its time. I mean, maybe to the extent of I needed another 20 years before it would come around for me. But it's so good. And we were talking about this the other day, and I think for some reason, I don't know if they came up here like at least a couple of times or not, but like I have this very distinct visual of seeing them on bills and thinking that they were a Calgary band and thinking just like passing on them for that like, which is so stupid, but like thinking that, you know, they were just like this kind of generic Calgary band. And that's why I didn't give them a lot of time. And you were saying that kind of was the same thing for you, which is odd.
I did listen to them a little bit later. I wasn't on their first like when they first started getting popular. I did like them after, but for a similar reason, I thought they were a local band, and I also got them confused with a local band called Forbidden Dimension, which I think is hilarious that you had the same
exact same.
So I'm wondering if they played shows with Forbidden Dimension here, or if like I know our buddy Devin really liked Rocket from the Crypt, like right out of the gates. Like he was in that. Like those Jewel guys are all into Drive By Jehu and like all this church.
John Reese's bands.
The Church of John Reese.
Yeah.
They're like all about him. And they were always about Rocket from the Crypt. And maybe I just assumed because they talked about it so much that they were just a local band that I'd never really cared for.
Yeah.
And I remember distinctly hearing them on, like, do you remember when CJ92 used to have like a punk thing? Not the thing that was on X92, but CJ92 also had like a thing for a very brief period where they played local music, because they even played some of our stuff on there.
Okay.
And like it was such a brief period, but Rocket from the Crypt was once on there, so I think I also thought it
just reinforced your idea that this was a local band.
Wrong. They were really good. I should have like I just never had listened to them, and I love Rocket from the Crypt, so that's my favorite of his bands.
It's truly like all of the things that I like about John Reese's projects rolled into a single band, like all of those great things just put into one.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I really enjoy it too. I feel a little bit silly that it's taken me this long to come around to an album that came out in 2002. But I've just been like diving into all of their music. The song that I chose comes from an album called Live from Camp X-Ray, which would be their final studio album, not a live album, which is also odd. But the song is called I Can't Feel My Head. And though I know that this song may not be exactly about a show, it's how I hear it, and it's how I read the lyrics, because it gives reference to me to going to shows when I was younger. So, you know, feeling the aches of a show kind of the following day and like having that sore body or like, you know, the ringing in your ears for sometimes many days.
Feeling hungover even though you were straight edge.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know that that's exactly what he's talking about, but that's definitely how I received the song. But also finding community. You know, you were talking about it earlier, and I think this song really resonates with that finding of community. I mean, it's pretty plain and simple in the lyrics, so I'm not going to read them out to you. But yeah, this song just, as I found this in, you know, the 4 weeks since it's been last time we recorded, this was one that really just jumped out to me.
Solid pick, Nate. Solid pick. My next one is a local band. As far as I know, no, I'm 100% sure they're local, and I picked it because it reminded me of going to shows, and how much fun I had. It reminded me of going to Hounsfield Heights or the Multicultural Center, and how important and fun this was for me. The band's Knucklehead. The song is "The Band Played On."
Nice.
Off another Neurotic episode.
This was actually on my short list, Mike.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Knucklehead are a great local band. I think they're pretty popular in North America. They have enough of a following in the underground North American punk scene. They're now a band called Territories, and they're on Pirate Press. Still really good. Yeah, I just wanted to put it on because it's a song about going to shows for me, anyways. I don't even know if the song's really about going to shows, but there's a band playing on. One thing I do hate is this album always pissed me off because the track listing's off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On the back.
Is it worth more?
I don't doubt it. But like, I don't know if it was ever done on purpose or not, but like, I think The Band Played On is listed as another Neurotic episode on this, like on the actual back of the album. Check it out one day. It's always bothered me. I'm like,
and it still bothers you today.
Well, yeah, I think like Lochan, because you know, like the lyrics to the songs aren't like hard to decipher. So unless the song about Lochan is not called Lochan. maybe that's the gimmick to it. It could have been.
Mike.
I don't know.
Maybe that's the key.
I'll have to ask. We'll have to get them on the show one day and ask them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For all the bands we have on shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great pick. I definitely had that one on the short list, which is not often.
Yeah, we don't overlap, especially
we don't sync up that often.
Not on a deep cut like that.
No, exactly. I like how I picked a fake local band and you picked an actual local band. Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. It's so funny, though, that like what a random thing to think. And then even more insane that you and I thought the exact same thing never talked about it until now.
What if those assholes in Jewel just told us they were local all the time and we just bought it? That's very too. Like, would it shock you if Devin and Mike did that to you? And you're just like,
no. But it definitely takes away from the coolness of the story. It was just some jerks that told you guys lies, as opposed to like, you guys are true best friends.
Yeah, we both made the same dumb mistake.
I Can't Feel My Head, Rocket from the Crypt, and
The Band Played On, Knucklehead.
I can't feel my head.
I guess it's that time, the time where I say thank you because we're polite people around here. But yeah, thank you to everyone who's listened and supported our podcast. We really appreciate it. I appreciate it. I'm assuming Nate appreciates it. I'm just going to speak for the both of us. Oh, he's chimed in. So
I appreciate it.
We appreciate the community we've created in our group chat and on Instagram and all the other social outlets where you guys have reached out to us. You can find this and other episodes on our website and via most streaming services. And here's where I'm going to get a little preachy. I'm not saying don't listen to us on there, but if there's another option, maybe try listening to us on another platform that isn't Spotify. And I'll admit, I'm sure all the platforms have warts, but the whole Joe Rogan thing really got under my skin. I don't know if it's under Nate's skin, but it's really under my skin. So I'm just suggesting to look at other options. You don't have to do it. Like I get it. And I get there is benefits to being on Spotify for lots of bands. And it's easy for like Neil Young to say, fuck you to them. Or for us, like we're not going to blip Spotify's anything. So it's just more of a personal thing for me. But yeah, anyway, that's my stance. Enough from my pulpit. Again, we're really just happy that you guys listen to us and interact with us. So send your lists in, say hi, and yeah, that's it. That's my jam.
I really thought that was going to catch fire, like when Neil did it, and then I thought, all right, who's next? And then it was Joni, and I'm like, okay.
Then Crosby, Stills.
But then it died.
There are a few other people,
but like nowhere, like it did not.
No, it didn't. It didn't have the same.
Did not get momentum going.
I got a bit of pushback from people on it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, that's not momentum. That's
no. I was surprised I got pushback because like I had a couple people write to me after I posted it on Instagram and be like, "Why?" And then
right,
like, Joe Rogan. Wow, he's just one thing. Don't you know how much artists make on there? And I was like, okay, whatever. I get it. I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just my thing. I don't
allowed
care.
To have thoughts, Mike. You can have thoughts. I'll stand beside you while you have thoughts.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Turns out he's a racist too, so it's not just about vaccines. So fuck him. If you want to support a bald guy, support Nate.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
So we're at our fifth choice now. About songs about shows. So this song is brought to you by Guitar Hero 3 because that's how it was delivered to me. I had never heard of this band or this song before that. And then I just couldn't get enough of it. The band is the Helicopters. The song is I'm in the Band off of the album Rock and Roll is Dead from 2005. And I just love this song. It seems odd that it was on Guitar Hero. Like I just thought, okay, maybe this is a band that just kind of like I missed. But like the Helicopters are not like a real popular or talked about band, at least on this side of the world, at least to the information that gets served up to me. Do you kind of feel the same? Like that feels like a real deep cut for Guitar Hero.
Yeah and no, just because of the popularity of Sweden and metal and rock and roll. Like okay. I feel like they're bigger than I would say they are in Europe than they are in North America, but they have a pretty big following here. Like,
is that right?
Yeah, they have a pretty big following.
I was surprised when I first heard them, was shocked that I hadn't heard a lot about them. And then like since then, I mean, when did Guitar Hero 3 come out? A long time ago.
Yeah.
Like at least, well, okay, so 2005. So let's say almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Is that fair? Jeez, that's a long time. Anyways, I haven't heard a lot about the Helicopters between then and now. And, you know, like I get that they took some breaks, like they split in 2008. We came back in 2016.
Someone died in them too, right?
I didn't go that far down the rabbit hole. I just know that there was an 8-year break in there. Mm-hmm. And then they came back to celebrate their award-winning debut, Super Shitty to the Max, which according to the wiki won a Swedish Grammy. Did you know that there were Swedish Grammys?
I didn't know they were called Swedish Grammys, but I knew their awards.
Well, they might have a different name.
Yeah.
But,
no, like metal's it's so different over there. Like it's like more like pop music, I think, than here.
Wow. I mean, would you call this metal?
No, but it's of that ilk, right? So like,
right. It's of that. Yeah, I get what you mean.
So
of
the
that
reason
tree.
the reason I know a lot about the Helicopters is because every person I know that liked the Helicopters was like, Mike, you'll love the Helicopters. They sound like Kiss.
Right.
They have a very Paul Stanley-esque vibe
Right.
to the vocals. And like
right.
every person, why is it asking me if I want to leave? No, I'm still here.
I don't know.
It asked me if I wanted to leave.
Just say no.
I did.
Maybe
I don't want to leave yet.
Maybe it's your rant about Spotify.
Yeah. Squadcast owned by Spotify.
They're everywhere, man.
Joe Rogan's coming for me. He's sending some UFC fighters.
Joe Rogan.
He's sending some UFC fighters and some racists to my house right now.
He's sending Dave Foley
Dave.
and Andy Dick.
Yeah. I think I could take them both.
I think so too.
Anyway, yeah. I just think everyone always told me about them because of the Kiss thing. They're like, you'll love them.
And do you love them?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I like them. I think there's
Okay.
other bands that do it better than them. Bands that they're involved in.
Like, what are some of
Like
the other bands
Imperial
they're
Electric,
involved
I
in?
think, is a better band.
Okay.
Personally. Or like a band you turned me on to, Marvel. I think they are better at that sound than Helicopters, personally.
Really?
But-
Interesting. Very
But I mean, I like them
interesting.
and I respect what they've done, and they carried that torch in that world for a long time, I think.
Right.
So
Well, on the up and up, they got signed in 2021 to a new label, and they have a new album coming out this year. So like lots happened since 2005 when this song came out and then got thrown into the Guitar Hero 3 mix. The 3 mix. Do you like the first one? Get ready for the 3 mix. That's it. That's all I got to say. I really, it's funny when I find these bands, and I mean, like a lot of times you've definitely heard of the band and you've just never told me about it. And I wonder if you're just like, Nate's not ready for this. Well, I'm ready for it now, Mike.
25 years later, is there any? I'll go through my best of 2004 list, see if there's anything I think you should check out.
Start handing them off.
This new upcoming band.
Were you still doing the top 500 in 2004?
Well, I had to for at work at that time. That was a work thing.
Go find your binder.
Yeah.
Go to the tab that says 2004.
Yeah. It's gonna.
And what?
You're going to rock your socks with all these hidden gems that you didn't know about.
What did you choose for the fifth and final pick, Mike?
I picked a Hold Steady song off Heaven Is Whenever, and the song is called Barely Breathing. So I did some research, and this song is about a Youth of Today show where a fight broke out, and the singer started handing out Hare Krishna leaflets, which has always been a weird thing to me. What is the deal with Hare Krishna and hardcore? Like, obviously we're too old for it or too young for it to know what happened with all that stuff. But I always knew there was some sort of weird like Krishna thing with hardcore bands.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just because it's weird, right? Like that's the only reason it makes sense is because it's odd.
But the reason I really did end up picking is because I thought this song is obviously about Craig Finn growing up in 80s hardcore, and it's a little bit different. But that like the idea of shows and getting wrapped up in the culture of going to shows, there's so many parallels because there's always some version of this fight and like Hare Krishna. There was always some sort of politicking going on or like
totally
some sort of thing, and it's just funny how there was some drama or like some cause that was all of a sudden you all had to be this cause or you all had to, and if you were against it, it's weird because this counterculture is all about being inclusive, but even in all that, we're still exclusive and like we try not to be the jocks or the popular kids. But even in all that is like if you weren't straight edge at this time, it was a big deal, or if you weren't vegan, it was a big deal, or if you liked or if you wore Adidas to a show or something like that, and so people would be like, It's just a weird thing. So there's still a popularity contest in this world, even though you strive to not be part of the popularity contest.
Totally.
So I just thought of that, and when I was listening to the song, and I was like, well, I might not know about Hare Krishna and fights at hardcore shows. I can relate to the weirdness of this culture of going to shows. So I thought it fit, and I thought it was a good way to end the episode. Just because if you grow up in any sort of punk scene, you know something like this happens.
Totally.
So, yeah.
It's a little reflective too. I like that you're returning to your reflective time at the end of the show. I like that about you, Mike.
Thank you, Nathan.
This was fun.
This was really
Did you
fun.
enjoy this topic?
I did, actually. I didn't enjoy picking the songs when I did it, but when I picked my songs and thought about it, and I enjoyed our conversation about it a lot more than I thought.
Now that we've gotten through it, do you see the difference between this and the top 5 songs from the road?
Fine, Nathan, you were right.
Yeah.
How many times do you want me to say it?
Just the one last is good.
You were right. I was wrong. You were right. Next time the topic will just be about pizza.
It'd be hard. 5 songs about pizza. Just pew, pew, pew the whole way through.
There's a band in Calgary called Pizza Bath. I'm sure they had a song about pizza.
Probably. That'd be odd if they didn't.
Yeah.
I'm in the band, the Helicopters, and
the Hold Steady, Barely Breathing. Thank you for listening. Stay cool, be excellent to each other, and stay safe out there. Fuck Joe Rogan. Pro Nate, anti Joe Rogan.
Friday night we got a gig in town. We're all revved up, we're gonna get it on down. They played our song on the radio. We're dressed for the occasion and we're ready to go. Had a great pair of shoes and thought out of class. A brand new jacket, but no backstage pass. seen them just after midnight. When they were down on the luck and still high from the street fight. Talking like it wasn't really much of a big thing to be out in the house and barely breathing. We were barely breathing. Showing up at shows like you care about the scene still. Or where were you when the blood spilled? They almost killed me. It got pretty sketchy. We tried to push forward. Now we're pointing at the scoreboard and it feels so amazing. And the crowd's going crazy. Summer 88 was all heat and intensity. Saw the youth in today at the 7th Street entry. There were skins in the pit. Some of them tried to kill me. Same club next summer, and now they're called Shelter. And after the show, I spoke with the singer, and he tried to hand me a pamphlet about Hare Krishna. I said, you gotta be kidding. Who the hell is the blue guy? But then he said something special. Using all his eyes. Using all his eyes. The kids are all distracted. No one wins if violence shows. Kids are a distraction. No one wins if violence shows. Kids are all distracted. No one wins the fight that shows. It's a distraction. No one wins the fight that shows. It's a distraction. No one wins the fight that shows. It's a no one wins to fight that shows.
If you're bald, you no hiding it. You be out front with it. You wear a shirt that says "I'm bald."
I don't think you need a shirt. Like, I think it's being bald is pretty on the nose.
Well, if you got a hat and you're hiding it,
If you were to do that, I suppose.
if you were
But
to
then
say-
why wear the hat,
I don't know.
right? I definitely did not dig my
I
heels.
thought
in
you said
about.
stick my dick in. I was like, what? Like, wow, Nate.
That's
like,
what we say now, right?
I guess.
Now that we're on Spotify.
I guess. Yeah. Spotify's cool with that, right?
Let me take that again.
Yeah.
It would get the vibe going real quack. It would get the vibe.
Sorry, Nate.
That's okay.
COVID
You okay?
cough. Yeah. COVID cough. Just give me 1 second. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry. Yep. I apologize. Okay.